I'm waiting for it. Perfect. What is going on, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Lake Hopatcong Living Podcast. Today we're here with Ray Fernandez from Bridge Marina. So Ray, I really appreciate you coming on.
Thank you, Steve. Thanks for coming in. Appreciate doing this with me today.
Absolutely, I appreciate you. So let's get right into it. If I'm not mistaken, you are the owner and operator of Bridge Marina here on Lake Hopatcong and another location down in Sandy Hook, right?
That's correct. Me and my wife.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So how long have you guys been operating or running the marinas?
That's a hard question. I'm going to say since 2005, but I've been in this a lot longer. But officially 2005 is when we started taking over and doing everything.
That's awesome. So what brought you guys to the lake? Was it an interest? Was it family? Like what brought you guys here in the first place?
I don't know how long we're chatting today, but I'll try to give the short version.
Yeah, well, that's fine.
Originally, my father came here in the mid-50s.
Oh, wow.
Found his way into a small mechanic shop here, started a little marina across the street, convinced my grandparents to sort of come out here and sort of retire.
Right.
But that retirement meant another probably 30 years of work, and they acquired this location. It was kind of a mom and pop weekend destination for folks out of the city to come out and like go bathing and get. This used to be a hot dog hamburger stand in here.
Was it really?
Yeah, really.
Oh, that's awesome.
And they kind of did that for a bunch of years. I grew up around this. Yep. Grew up literally in this area. Was into boating. Was into the whole thing with my family. Yeah. But then I decided to chase my own career for a bunch of years while also working here and try to balance between the two. And that was a challenge until ultimately, I kind of picked the best one, which was this.
All right. That's awesome.
So I got here.
Yeah. So I'm assuming you grew up on the water. You grew up going on the boat and enjoying everything that Lake Hopatcong has to offer.
Yeah, I really did. It has changed a lot over the years, but I grew up literally as a kid here, which is great.
That's one thing I wanted to get your opinion on is, you've been here for a long time. Your parents were here. How have you seen the lake evolve and change over the years? Like, what was it like when you first came here?
It's a tough question to answer sometimes because it has changed so much.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's kind of stayed the same. I mean, Lake Hopatcong, I think, remains a, sort of a near but far. Lake Hopatcong is literally right outside suburbia New Jersey, or it's actually kind of part of it now. Yeah. But yet, when you come up here, you feel like you're in another world.
Right.
And I do recall as a kid, a lot of folks would think we were country folk. We probably still are.
Yeah.
But
compared to the city people.
Compared to the city, but these were dirt roads.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm really aging myself now, but this was a dirt road when I was a kid.
Wow.
God, that makes me feel old. But anyway, these are dirt roads. Most of these places were bungalows when I grew up, and we'd hang out with a lot of kids from maybe not the city, but eastern New Jersey and elsewhere.
Yeah.
And that has changed. But if you look around the lake right now, especially what you do, you'll notice there's a lot of folks that now have summer homes here.
Yeah.
It's kind of migrated back to that now.
That's what I noticed is that, it started out as, a weekend getaway for people from the city. Then it kind of evolved into, a more year-round living. And now I feel like it's almost sort of transitioning back to, a lot of people coming in from the city and having weekend homes, which I think is kind of a cool thing to have that mix.
Or it's a mix now. I hear a lot of folks that bought a pseudo retirement house here or a summer house. Maybe a summer house now is turned into the retirement house, and they're abandoning their properties east to stay here, which is neat.
Oh, it makes sense.
Yeah, and really the interesting thing about, Bridge Marina has been here since 1956 technically.
Wow.
But probably in its new form, the way we've been running it, since the mid-2000s.
Yep.
But we certainly always have had a foothold here. It's just changed dramatically over the last 60-something years.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Thankfully.
Right. Yeah, it's a good thing. It's good and it's bad in
but
some
it's the same,
Yeah.
I always go back to, my grandparents were immigrants. My dad was an immigrant, and they were just hardworking. And they'd probably choke if they came in and saw what we did with everything.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I think they'd be equally happy because they welcomed folks from elsewhere and brought them out here and let them have a good time. And that's literally what Bridge Marina does is we get people into boating, we keep them in boating, and we get them onto the lake and or onto Sandy Hook, and that's what we do.
Oh, it's awesome. I feel the same way. It's like some of the best times I have is when I meet clients from the city or further east or further west, wherever they're coming from that have never been to the lake before. We show them around the lake, take them out on the boat, show them the different towns and the different neighborhoods, and they're in shock that they live 45 an hour away from here, and they, never knew this place existed. So it's cool to have people like you that are, bring more people in, showing them everything that Lake Hopatcong has to offer. So why don't you talk about a little bit about what the marina does? Because you do a lot here. You sell boats. You can obviously have a ton of dock space, so you have slips that you rent out, I'm sure.
Yeah. So here's a weird thing. I kind of consider ourselves a service and a hospitality company, or a boating service and a hospitality company. And we kind of do whatever folks need to.
Yeah.
It's kind of weird from the outside. Yes, we have a marina, so we have slips, we do boat sales, but we also do boater education, boat training, boat rentals, a boating club, which is like an all-inclusive membership, and of course we sell boats and service boats and store tons of boats. So it's like all these things, but they're really synergistic if you get on my side of it. The idea is we're taking care of people in boating because folks don't have the time or energy sometimes, or resources to do it themselves, so we do that. And it's, the tough part is, I think I've mentioned this to you before, somebody comes in, they want to buy a boat, they think I'm just a boat dealer. But we're not, because we're going to get them their boating certificate, train them on their boat, and then, of course, sell them a boat, but then help them maintain that boat and take care of it and be their resource for the rest of their life. When you get in a jam, you come to us. So it's a bit complex, but at the same time, it's simple. Get them into boating, help them stay in boating.
That's awesome, because I feel like a lot of the marinas around the lake, they just focus on, rent out as many dock slips as they can, or sell as many boats as they can, or just rent boats. Whereas you kind of have the whole package, and you give people the full experience.
Yeah, and it's not to disparage. Everybody has their own thing and how they do stuff, right? Some folks like to be a boat dealer. Some people like to be a rental company. It's all cool. I just feel it's so much more dynamic in regards to what we get to do, and it's pretty exciting on my side. Like, I dig this. And most folks shy away from it because teaching somebody how to boat is not easy.
No, especially if they've never done it or been on a boat before.
Yeah, it's a challenge. Uber rewarding. Like, I love it. Like, I train people. It's super fun. Running a boating club is not easy.
I can imagine.
Right? Running a marina is not even that easy. A lot of people talk about, hey, I want to get in the marina business. I'm like, it's not an easy task. But when you put it all together, and if we could have shot this, you come down like on a Saturday afternoon at like 6 o'clock in the middle of summer, and it's just jamming, and everything's just flowing nice and smooth, and you're watching a rental come back and a club go out, and a person enjoying their time on the boat, and seeing somebody like take their kids out for the first time. It's like, it's kind of like a little magic for me. It's pretty cool.
No, it's awesome. Pretty cool. So you talk about having that synergy and having a well-oiled machine, I guess. What was it like to build that? Because I'm assuming when you took it over, you had things that you wanted to change and kind of grow the business. So what was it like building a team and making sure that everybody works well together and have that well-oiled machine?
I'm laughing because I've always got a saying for that. It's like it's an out till dawn and up at dusk, like pride swallowing siege. You ever hear that from like a Jerry Maguire movie? It's like, man, it was tough.
Yeah, I'm sure.
But it had all these, rewards along the way. When we first launched the boating club, everybody was like, that's just a dumb idea.
Right.
Like, I remember back in 6, people just thought that was silly.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm telling you, it's going to work. I remember in 8, we rebuilt the dock, and people were like, why would you put an expensive dock with utilities on Lake Hopatcong? I was like, it's going to work. Just so many different things folks, didn't believe in, but I just knew over time they'd work.
Yeah.
And they had their setbacks and their challenges. But, as you know, when you're in a business and you're doing your own thing, there's that freedom and fun that's involved in it. And when you get to see the reaction, you get to see it work, it's super rewarding, especially now where everything's just coming together. And I literally had a conversation with somebody this morning, one of my teammates that's been with me about 6 years. And he's like, man, I remember when there was a lot less people here and we were doing a lot less things.
Yeah.
And it's pretty cool. He's now a captain and does training for us.
Yeah.
And he's like, it's just so cool to see everything come together.
Yeah, I'm sure it is.
And that's how you keep doing it, right?
Right.
It's just fun to see it come together.
So do you have a lot of people that live around the lake that are passionate about boating that came to see you and want to work for you?
Yeah, we do pretty well in regards to hiring around the lake, off the lake, because there's tons of people that want to get into boating.
Yeah.
That have some other job. Right. The deal. Like, folks go and do something, and I don't know, you chase a paycheck, you're chasing a title, you're chasing something, but you realize, boy, I really would love to be in the boating industry.
Yeah.
And that's been a challenge on our end. How do you afford those, quality teammates year round? in a seasonal business, in a seasonal part of the world. So that's another reason we designed the company the way we did, because I wanted to be able to afford, those folks to bring into the team.
Right.
So,
Absolutely.
A bit of a risk and a bit of a investment, but it's worked out real well.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
So what is, because I'm fascinated with the whole boating club thing, just because it's a new concept to me. I haven't really heard of people doing it until I, saw that you guys do it. So what does it consist of? Like, what is the boating club?
Good question. I'm not marketing well enough.
Right. And that's why you're here.
Yeah, right. So interestingly enough, I started the boating club about 15 years ago here.
Wow.
And when I first did it, I thought, like, man, I had this great idea.
Yeah.
Because I was younger and I had one boat and I didn't like the boat. It didn't fit everything.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, it'd be great if I had a bunch of different types of boats. I was like, I got this idea. Maybe I'll buy a few and then I'll do some sort of shared use kind of thing.
Yeah.
And so I created the business plan, and then I started research, and I found out they've done it already. Like many things, right? It's already been done. But it allowed me opportunity to go research and kind of create my own sort of thing and see what other people were doing wrong.
Yeah.
But the idea behind a boating club in general is it's shared use. This isn't much different than a peer-to-peer rental or a gym membership. It's basically, we own all the assets, or liabilities, because they're a boat. Mm-hmm. We have all the facilities to run them and all the services to support them, so that a prospective boater just can come in and use it.
Yeah.
And it's different than a rental, because rentals are very regulated, because it's anybody off the street can hop on a rental, in which, it's hard to loan out really nice things. Where in a club, it's a private entity. We get to vet out our members. They get to vet us out.
Yeah.
We get to train them, like make sure they can use our equipment really well, as well as make sure they can have a good time on it, and then they get to go use it. So it creates this really great win. It's super affordable when you think about boat ownership, because boat ownership can be expensive.
Yeah, for sure.
So it's very affordable. It gets them out and it gets them all the Bridge Marina service with the Bridge Marina boats, but literally at a fraction of the cost.
That's awesome.
And it works out pretty well. It's really done well for us, and it does well for boaters, because not everybody should own a boat.
That's right.
Not
everybody wants to too. And I'm assuming you have, different types of boats, pontoon boats, bow riders, so that people, if you want to take a big group of people out and go hang out in Byram Cove on Sunday, you can take a pontoon boat, or, next weekend you want to go wakeboarding, or, go for a ride with the kids. You can go take a bow rider out, right?
You're not stuck with it.
Right.
And that's one of the jams of boat ownership.
Part of it.
Yeah, boat ownership. You buy a boat, that's your boat.
Yeah.
With this, you join the club, and we've got 20-something boats already.
Oh, wow.
So choose whatever one you want. It's all the same cost.
So what kind of boats do you have in stock there for the boat club?
Center consoles, bow riders, deck boat style, like kind of hybrids, triple pontoons. Those are basically what we're using. We're Four Winds and Starcraft dealers, so we use all their product, and Wellcraft, which is like a cousin of Four Winds. Typically here at the lake, we're 20 till about 26 feet. But down at the beach, we run 22 to about 28 feet.
Yeah, that's fair.
But folks get a choice. You can take out whichever one you want. It's kind of cool. And
Oh,
everything's included. That's a neat thing. The member just walks in, checks out the boat, and leaves.
It's nice and easy.
Comes back, checks out the boat, hands it to you, and there's staff carrying your stuff. This is like 5-star services.
Yeah. It's really cool.
If you think about it, for someone who doesn't want to put out the 50, 70, 100 grand to get into a boat and spend the 10, 20 grand a year on it, you can do that for a fraction of it and get this top-notch service. Yeah. Which is pretty cool.
Oh, it's awesome.
Yeah, I'm pretty excited about that.
So what do you, what's your favorite kind of boat? What's your favorite type of boat? Throw you off guard a little bit.
You did. I mean,
you're going to be biased. You're a dealer.
No. I got to be honest. I've been asked that before. One of my favorite boats that we've ever owned is actually this work boat we have. It's a simple Carolina skiff center console with a little 90 horsepower.
Consoles are great. They can do everything. They're nice and easy. It's just reliable.
Basic. Yeah. I've always enjoyed it, because if you're real close to the water, it just doesn't ride well.
Yeah.
It doesn't handle well. So it's a challenge to drive. It's hard to get across the lake on a weekend, because it's in the air most of the time.
Yeah.
But it's a fun boat.
Yeah.
But what's a favorite? I'd probably go, this might sound a little biased, but I go whatever my family's happy on.
Yeah.
And because if they'll go out with me and hang out and folks are having a good time, I'm probably going to have a good time.
Right.
So
I feel like half the fun of owning a boat is just having other people experience it, bring them on the boat and watch them have a good time too.
Yeah, it really is, and that sounds kind of cheesy, but
it does. But it's true.
It's true. Like when the kids want to come out, and my wife wants to go out, and they want to go boating and do stuff, and go spend a day with me. It's like, I literally pick whatever boat you want, kids. I love them all. So
I'm sure kids have a good time.
They do, and they favor the triple pontoons. Just if I had to go in a direction.
They ride nice. They're quick too, with a nice big motor on it. They're nice boats.
Everybody gets to lounge out and
comfortable.
So they tend to like those boats.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, that was a good question though.
Yeah, I was curious what you'd say to that, but I like your answer. It was a good one.
And I'm not saying it's just my manufacturer either. Like boats are boats to some extent.
I respect that. Yeah, they are. What are some of the big mistakes you see boat owners make, specifically on Lake Hopatcong? Like, do you see people that,
like from an operating perspective, or
anything, operating perspective, or just the way they maintenance boats, whatever?
Yeah, tough one. So some big stuff. Well, let me start at the beginning. Some of the biggest issues I see people overbuy or indulge too much. Yep. They go and buy a boat thinking, I'm gonna have all this time.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know, did you ever buy anything like a mountain bike thinking you're gonna go ride a mountain bike every weekend?
Never use it
and
once,
it's like,
and
wow.
it sits in the shed.
Yeah, right? Yeah. Same thing happens with boats. Even though it's such an expensive thing, they'll go buy a $100,000 boat and then only use it 5 times and then be upset that the boat was too much.
Right.
So was your mountain bike. You've only used it 5 times. That's probably a big mistake we see. Like, folks don't buy really for what they need. Out in the water, I think one of the biggest things I see is folks using speed incorrectly. Okay. It's sort of, it tends to be like, throttling up more than needs be when they're doing, we call it sort of the not the nice guy speed. I got another, the D-bag speed, where they're kind of on and off plane and they're creating huge wakes and also drafting a lot of water, and then they strike things and they disturb the lake. It's probably one of the biggest mistakes I see new boaters make is not controlling their speed right from an operational perspective.
How do you deal with teaching people how to dock, especially people that have the boat club or people that rent boats? I feel like docking is, by far the hardest part of boating, right? So how do you go about teaching people that? Like, what's the process there? And do you have any bad experiences with it? Were there any accidents or anything that caught you off guard?
That's a good one. Look at you. So teaching somebody how to handle a boat is pretty complex. Yep. We've been doing it for over 15 years, and it certainly has changed over the years in regards to you find certain tricks. Yep. And there is a process to do it, and it takes a certain type of human to be able to train somebody because it can be a little
intimidating.
Yeah, intimidating. Well, it can be a little bit scary for the trainer because you're at the throttle of a boat.
I'd be scared if I was on a boat with somebody that's never driven before.
Yeah.
For sure.
But there's certain ways you do that as well that you learn over time. Just how you're going to train them, the conversation you're going to have with them, the practices you go through, where you stand on the boat, how you manage it, and there's some really specific things you need to do when you're training somebody. So that's what you do first. And once you have that under control and you really understand what you're doing, then it's how do you convey maneuvering the boat to somebody else. Yep. Like, that's probably one of the hardest things. And some people have it, some people don't. But like, in theory, I could get in the boat and get you to dock it just about anywhere. Yep. But that's so hard to do for me as the pseudo operator training you to understand what's going on with the water, with the boat, with the conditions, as well as the timing for you to put it in and out of gear.
It's the hardest part.
And the craziest thing is, as the trainer, I've got to observe the conditions, observe them. It has to go from my brain out my mouth to your ears, to your hands, and there's like, that could be a second or a second and a half, but that means a lot. So it's almost you need to anticipate maneuvers as you're a trainer so that the operator isn't behind the next movement. Yeah. That's probably one of the hardest things to explain to folks. For sure. It's almost like if we're going to put it in gear, I need to know a second before you need to put it in gear. Yeah. Because you're going to take a second to put it in gear. Yep. It's probably one of the hardest things. But I must say, if you're really patient with folks, you have the right demeanor, you have the right skills and tactics in order to get them to be successful, it's not that hard. We train tons of people. Yep. From a scary perspective, I've had a couple people hit the throttles, things like that. Or probably the scariest thing is when you think someone has actually got it under control and you let off, and you step back just a little bit, and then they get out of control. Yep. And you're like, oh, I've been scared a couple times of that. Oh, yeah. No accidents, though.
That's good. Knock on wood, That's awesome.
I've never had a boat hit anything in any of my trainings ever.
That's impressive. That's impressive.
Which is pretty. But and I'd say most I don't even know our trainers, maybe 1 or 2 in the course of 10 years.
Well,
Yeah, they stay on top
it's
of
a good rap sheet. It's a good record there.
Yeah, I mean, we train our trainers to do what they do. So yeah, no, it's a challenge to learn how to boat, but it's not as hard as you might think.
Yeah, no, that's awesome.
You know how to boat, right?
Yeah, I've been since I was this big.
Yeah, right.
Since before I was allowed to actually drive a boat.
Yeah.
But keep that one a secret.
And that's probably one of the hardest things. Yeah, we all did. I mean,
Yeah,
crap,
yeah.
I was driving a boat when I was probably 4.
I had a little 9.9 motor. You're only supposed to have a 9.9 when you're 13. It was, converted to a 15
Souped up with a
horsepower. So
different sticker
just
on
different
it?
stickers on it. Yeah,
I've sold a couple of those.
yeah.
Yeah, and that's one of the challenges that we've realized here that I need everybody to understand. Because you grew up on boats, right? So you're like, yeah, driving a boat, it's not a big deal.
Yeah.
The challenge is most humans have never operated a boat.
Right.
And a lot of time those in the boating community or those that are in dealerships or marinas are like, hey, how can you not drive a boat?
Yeah.
And it's like, well, you didn't grow up in this.
Yeah, right.
I'm a fortunate human. I grew up in this. And I knew how to drive as a kid. So many people have never had that opportunity. So we need to be much more patient and say, okay, let me take you from 0 and try to get you just to 5.
Yeah.
And then from 5 to 10. So
It's a different experience too. I mean, a lot of people, they jump in, they're like, all right, it has a steering wheel, looks like a car, but it doesn't handle like a car. The steering and the throttle control is a lot different. When you go, when we were talking about docking, you want to be nice and slow. You don't want to, give it too much gas. Then people don't understand. Well, if you turn it, it might not, steer that well because you're not getting any throttle. So you got to throttle it while you steer. So I give you guys credit for, having that good of a record as far as teaching people how to dock and everything, because it's a
But you have to slow it down and go through the basics first.
Exactly.
Explain to folks why wheel to port and forward gear, the bow goes to the port or to the left, but the stern goes to your right or starboard side, and people are like, whoa, it's not what my car does.
Yeah.
So we go through a bunch of different maneuvers to show people that.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, it's pretty neat. Training side has been a lot of fun.
So what do you guys do in the winter months? Now it's February.
Yeah.
There's nobody out on the lake right now.
We're busy.
So what do you guys? How do you stay busy? How do you keep it running? Like what's that like in the winter?
So it's interesting, and so we had a boating show this weekend on Saturday here at the Marina.
There was a boat show in Edison too, right?
Yeah. I guess I didn't market that well enough. Yeah, we did one right here too. We had 100, 150 people here on Saturday.
Really?
In the snow, believe it or not. So a lot of what we're doing in the winter is getting ready for the season. So we are, full bore going from, May 1st through November 1st. Between recommission, maybe April 1st, recommissioning, getting boats in the water, because we have hundreds of boats we have to get into the water, and then we have thousands of guests we got to support all season. As we're just going through the season, and then we got to decommission all those boats into the winter. So we don't get wrapped up from a season till just after Thanksgiving.
Wow.
And then we have to start our season, really start going, getting ready around March 1st. So we're only a couple weeks away.
Right.
So that leaves us December, January, February, maybe March, to kind of get everything else in order for the subsequent season or to wrap things up. So we are getting ready for the next season literally before we finish the last one.
Yep. That's crazy. And that's when I grew up working on a marina, and the busiest times were before the winter, when you have to winterize all the boats, shrink wrap everything, and then the start of the season where everybody wants their boat in as soon as possible, and you have all the customers calling you, telling you that they want their boat in next weekend, and you have 200 other boats you got to get done. So how do you manage that? I'm assuming now, since you've been in business for so long, it's kind of a you have the process under control, and you know how to operate everything. But is that tough in the beginning part of the season to get everything under control?
It's still tough, no matter what you do, and it's that hard balance of you really are taking 10 pounds of stuff and putting it in an 8-pound bag that you got to funnel through 6 weeks if you're lucky. Late March through early June. So that's the biggest challenge. A lot of it is coordination with guests. If you really statistically look at a number of boaters, you can spread them out among those times. It's what we do. A lot of planning, proactively to set people up over those times, and then staffing up or staffing down. I'm a systems guy. So we have really engineered how to decommission and recommission a boat to make it as fluid as we can and as precise as we can. And through all those things, we make it pretty easy. So we do a lot of boats, both spring and fall, but we break a sweat, but you might not think we are. Yeah. But there's also a limit too. So I'll limit the number of boats that we do. Because we could theoretically, I could sell 5 or 6 times more, but then I know I wouldn't have a good customer experience. So and I tried that for a little period. We started doing a lot, and I was like, that just doesn't work, because you get the volume, but then the guests aren't happy, and that doesn't work.
Yeah.
So we kind of throttled it back to get that right mix.
Well, that makes sense.
Yeah.
So what's the biggest part of the business? Because there's so many different things that you do. I'm curious, what's the biggest part of the business that brings the most amount of people in, let's say? Is it the people that dock here, the people that keep their boats here and winterize and get serviced with you? Is it the boat club, the boat rentals? Like, what's the biggest thing driving people here?
That's a hard one. Purposefully, it's kind of a hard one because I really enjoy them all, quite honestly. And from a driver, I've tried to balance them all out.
Yeah.
One of the things that I was trying to avoid in this business is the ups and downs from economy factors as well as seasonal factors. Yeah. So it's purposeful that we have so many different revenue sources because I wanted to even it all out throughout a year. Yeah. But there's obviously boating club's a big driver, service is a big driver. Yeah. Those are just there's a lot of demand for that. Rental's a big driver. Slips and stuff is great. Boat sales is cute. That they're big revenue numbers, but smaller, net numbers when you think about boat sales. Everybody thinks boat sales is tons of, only even do loads of boat sales. Yep. But yeah, I think there's a mix in there that I've done on purpose.
Yeah, that's good.
But I enjoy them all.
Yeah.
They're all fun. I think renting boats, as much fun as training somebody, as much fun as a boating club or somebody buying a boat. They're all valuable.
Yeah, for sure.
Because you never know where somebody's going to land in their life. So.
Yeah. So what do you guys do a lot around the community too? You're not just a marina. So can you talk about some of the stuff you do around the lake, around the community, and how you're involved with that?
That's a good question. Yeah, we've done a lot of stuff over the years. I want to say it's kind of ebbed and flowed. Yep. We started a lake association at one point to kind of battle the drawdown issues we were having at the lake for a few years, like water level quality stuff. President of the Chamber of Commerce for about 5-6 years here in Jefferson.
Oh, wow.
Involved with the Mars Chamber, Sussex Chamber.
Yep.
For a solid 10-15 years, we did this. This would have been good. I should bring this back. We did like a networking event here every summer because I was involved in the Mars and Sussex Chamber. Yep. And we'd bring both those chambers here.
That's pretty cool.
And have this huge event here, which was fun.
Yeah.
Involved with the foundation. Jefferson Township schools, really just a little bit of everything.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's kind of like it's a neat community, so it's, you want to get back where you can, right. And then, at some point in my life I found out I was doing too much, that it was hard to manage that and kids and my own kids and the work, and it can be a tough mix.
Yeah, that's the next thing I want to ask you is how do you manage having two marinas and two separate locations? Like what's your day-to-day activities look like?
Pros and cons. Some of it's great. Like I'm going down to Highlands this evening. Yep. I got a meeting down there tonight at 7:00, which is, it's kind of a bear. It's an hour and a half drive sometimes with traffic. But, I consider it to be a benefit of what I do. Like Highlands is a really neat area. Yeah. It's very much like Lake Hopatcong, believe it or not, in regards to its history, and it's a neat water body. Yeah. So I'm really fortunate that I get to go down there and do stuff as well as be here. Yeah. So I'm probably one of the luckiest guys here that I get to play in both spots. And I've got another house down there which helps so that I can bring my family down and they get to enjoy it. I don't have to rush back and forth. Yeah. But it's really just been balancing the two. Yeah. But it's been I feel really lucky.
Yeah, absolutely.
Lake Hopatcong is an amazing community. Like it really is, just amazing up here. And then the whole Highlands, Sandy Hook, Navasink, Shrewsbury, like that's really just an amazing community too. I think they're two of the most beautiful spots in the state. Yeah. And I get to be at both.
Yeah, it's awesome. Not a bad gig.
It's a good gig. Like I truly enjoy it. Yeah. Yeah. Like I'm looking forward to get down there tonight. Hopefully get up, see a sunrise, maybe take my bike out.
Yeah. There you go.
Dust
it's a good change of scenery too.
It's a nice change of scenery. Yeah, it's fun stuff.
So what do you think we can change around the lake? Is there anything that you don't like that's happening around the lake or has happened around the lake? Is there any ways you think that as a community or town or a county that we could improve on the lake?
That is a challenging question, Steve.
It is. Yeah. Thought-provoking.
Yeah, I like it. I got to think about that one. I think we could change. I think probably the biggest thing is if I think over the years, and I'm just kind of flashing into the years, it's just everybody understanding each other. Yeah. It's a pretty diverse community between, I want to say like locals, lakefront owners, off the lake, businesses, The tourists that come here, and I think sometimes it gets too divided.
Right.
Example being, I've heard folks that live on the lake be upset about rental boats or tourists that come to the lake. And I'm like, shit, one day you were a tourist and that's how you got here. You're like,
right.
You weren't necessarily born, you were born here, correct?
Yep. Yeah.
But your family may not have been here.
Yep.
Like at some point they came from somewhere else.
Yeah.
And I think that gets lost. And that, sort of mutual respect. Yep. And then I'll say at the same time, sometimes you get tourists that come in here and just don't treat it with respect.
Yeah.
And the reminder to them is like, hey, don't you live somewhere?
Yeah.
How would you like it if we came and did that in your neighborhood? So I think that's probably one of the biggest things we could change. And that's in any sort of tourist local community.
And I feel like you're right. I mean, I feel like it just takes one or two people to give the entire kind of community a bad rep.
Yeah.
If you have one tourist that comes and rents a boat and is not respectful to the lakefront homeowners or the lake in general and throwing trash over, whatever it is, then they ruin it for everybody else because it's not, they don't represent the entire population of people, right?
Yeah, I think that's probably one of the biggest things. And maybe that's life, just us all respecting each other and their perspectives, because you do, that's what you see the most, it's just folks not realizing that, you're not here alone.
Yeah.
Have respect for the guy that lives in the house. And by the way, the guy that lives in the house has respect that this is their weekend thing too. And and by the way, I've said this before, sometimes the folks that are local can be some of the biggest perpetrators of just, playing loud music. Hey, this is my area. Like,
right.
It's like, yeah, but you don't own the lake. We all share it. We're all citizens.
Yeah.
That's probably one of the biggest things I think we could change for everybody to understand that this is like, it's community.
Yeah.
Of Lake Hopatcong, but it's a community of New Jersey.
Yeah.
It's like a community of the United States. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I agree. Too deep on that one.
No, I agree, absolutely.
Yeah.
What's the most rewarding part about what you do?
Man, you come with good questions.
There you go.
You're good at this.
Appreciate it.
Rewarding thing. I'm going to jump back to watching somebody learn how to boat, or seeing that, seeing that joy when someone made the right choice.
Yep.
Whatever, they bought the right boat and they went and learned how to drive it, and they're getting that sort of, I don't know, exhilaration, that satisfaction that they did the right thing.
Yeah.
And they, I don't know, someone docks the boat for the first time, we get this, and they're just so pleased with themselves, and it's like, that is just so awesome to go, wow, we got that guy's boating certificate, we showed him how to boat, we got in the boat club, and like, you know how good that feels?
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's the same thing like in real estate. When I get to, especially first-time home buyers or people that I bring to the lake and they see this area for the first time, it's really cool to share that experience with them and show them around, or the first-time home buyers to get them into a house. And it's a life change. And by buying a boat, it's a new hobby, a new thing for people to come together with friends and family to experience something different and unique. So.
I'm sure. Do you get often to see that person when they walk in the house for the first time? Do you get to do that?
Every time.
Oh, do you?
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, get to hand them the keys. It's awesome. It's very it's rewarding.
That's got to be pretty cool. It's that.
It is.
That's the moment.
Exactly.
That's probably the rewarding thing here too.
Yeah.
But you got to look for it, because I go back to on a Saturday, or it's a busy day, you're here doing stuff and you're kind of moving,
running around,
or you're selling a house, and sometimes you forget, like, that's what I'm doing it for.
Yeah.
It's not signing. It's not that you paid me.
Yeah. Sometimes you get wrapped up in the day-to-day activities. You don't appreciate the things that really matter.
It's that little moment when they're super psyched. They just walked in the house, or they just landed the boat, and you're like, that's why I do this.
Oh, that's cool.
That's the fun part.
So to wrap it up, do you have anything that you want people to know about Bridge Marina or Lake Hopatcong in general before we wrap it up?
Yeah, I'd say thank you. The biggest thing for Bridge Marina is just, I really just hope people understand that, we really are here to get people into boating and to keep them into boating. And we do so many different things, and it's not like they're all one-offs.
Yeah.
We do, I don't know, 500 trainings a year. We sell hundreds of boats every year. We service thousands of boats. Like, we do a lot in different areas, and we're really good at all of them. And it's because they're all so synergistic to keeping everything we have moving.
Yeah.
And I think folks forget that sometimes. They think you're only whatever you need to be that particular day.
Right.
And I wish more folks understood, you came to me if you had a need, there's a pretty good chance I can fulfill it in a really good manner. Right. And if I couldn't, I can refer you to somebody that could.
Yeah.
And I think that gets lost often.
Perfect.
Yeah.
I appreciate you coming on.
No,
I
thank you.
appreciate everybody listening and watching. So if you're in the market for a boat, or you're looking to experience Lake Hopatcong or boating in general, then come talk to Bridge Marina and Ray Fernandez.
And I guess if you want to get on the boat and then go find a lakefront house,
That's it. I'm your
talk
guy.
to Steve.
That's it.
I love
Thank you.
it. Thank you very much.
Appreciate
Great
it.
interview.
Appreciate it. That was
a lot
good.
of fun.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, good questions, by the way.
I appreciate it. They came up with them on a whim, so.
Yeah, those are just off the top of your head?
Yeah, I mean, I had a couple talking points that I want to get to, but I'm glad I got through what I wanted to, so I think it was good.
Good job. Those are good questions. I love them.
Appreciate it.
Good job, guys.
Solid.